Welcome back, I hope you're feeling nice and refreshed. Let's go ahead and get started with video 2.
Okay, right now you're seeing Joker talking to this new character in a church. This will make sense in a few minutes, just bear with me. One thing I've always loved about RPGs is the massive cast of characters you meet and get to know. One thing I've always hated about RPGs is the G word, grinding. You can see it now, can't you? You turn the lights off at night and prepare to sleep, and you think that just for an attosecond, you caught a glimpse of something standing over you. That's grinding, and nowhere is that evil stronger than in the RPG. It's haunted RPGs for decades, taking the form of pointless side quests that are completely detached from the main story that the player is compelled to complete only so that they can acquire a shiny new power or upgrade. The reward never redeems the experience of grinding, it only lessens the pain of it. Persona 5 Royal did something that I couldn't have predicted, not in a million years. It managed to merge the process of getting to know the characters with the process of unlocking new abilities in such a way that allows me to say that, oh my god, here we go. Grinding was one of my favourite parts of the game. Wait, just let me explain. You've now seen one half of the game, which is all the fighting in the other world, which, by the way, is called the metaverse, but I haven't shown you much of the other side of the game, what you do in the real world. Here, you're encouraged to spend time with your confidants and to establish new connections with people, which opens up a number of excellent sub-stories devoted to these characters, as they share their problems with you and you help them find their own resolutions. See, this stuff is rewarding on its own, as it develops your understanding of your teammates and all kinds of people who populate this world. However, here's the secret. This is where the grind is hiding. Spending time with confidants progresses their stories, but it also has another impact. It unlocks new powers and abilities for both you and your teammate, and it increases the power you get when you create new personas of a certain type. I actually can't understand why other RPGs haven't thought of this. This confidant system single-handedly solves the problem of grinding. It's no longer something to fear in the dark, it's something that should be celebrated in the light. I'm going to say it. The confidant system redeems the grind. Of course, since hanging out with confidants is cleverly tied to character progression, you spend a lot of time with each and every confidant, which lets you get really close to them, which in turn makes you care even more about the overall story. The grinding doesn't bring down the experience, it actually enriches it. I've never seen characters so well implemented in both the core story and gameplay experience at the same time. Now I hope you understand why I said earlier that grinding was one of my favourite parts of this experience. Sorry, it still freaks me out to hear those words coming out my mouth. There's one thing I haven't gotten to at all yet, which is the world exploration aspect of the game. Let's talk about that next. There's loads to do in Tokyo. You can explore the quiet, serene streets of Yonginjaya, you can play darts and poker with your teammates in Kichiyoji, where you can also experience some lovely jazz, you can explore the sketchier parts of the city in Shinjuku's red light district, you can immerse yourself in the tech geek scene in Akihabara. There's loads here to explore. There's also Shibuya, where you can eat a massive burger, rent a movie, go to the cinema, buy some books, go to the arcade. I haven't even scratched the surface here. There's plenty to do and discover. The best thing, though, is that all of this exploration has its own importance. In doing a wide variety of things across the city, you increase your social stats, which are Joker's guts, charm, knowledge, precision, and kindness. You need to work on these to give Joker the skills he needs to help his confidants and to create bonds with new ones. Okay, I know what you're all thinking. Isn't that technically grinding? Well, yeah, however, I don't mind it at all here, as it's forcing me to discover all that Tokyo has to offer, and that's great. It's fun, and it also plays an important role in the main game. You need to explore and do a wide range of things to improve your social stats, which allows you to help your confidants, which gives you all new powers to try out in the metaverse. Also, quick addendum to that fun factor point, you do all of these things with Morgana, and I just think that's great. I love spending time with him. Just look at him. Look at how he's poised in that chair. He's so cute. Sorry. I hope that you've noticed that there's a hell of a lot of stuff to do in this game. Loads of things. All of these things take up time, though. In our world, of course, but also in the game world. Time is handled very differently in Persona. It's your most important resource. Every activity in the game takes time, Whether that be making coffee, or practicing batting with Morgana, or journeying into the metaverse, everything you do takes time. This is important as the game moves forward on its own calendar. Every in-game story moment is locked in at specific days in that calendar. This becomes especially important during the main arcs. The game in the top right corner always reminds you of how much time you have before the arc's villain defeats you. What I love about this is the fact that the game's time system demands that you plan out your days. Time is now a precious resource that you have to spend carefully to prepare yourself to take on the arc's villain, and that villain's threat is very real. They aren't waiting for you to prepare as completely as possible, they're closing in on you. It's up to you to plan ahead and use the time you have well. I know that this sounds a teensy bit stressful, but I assure you the game provides you with enough gentle guidance in the form of your friends' opinions. They'll make sure that you never lose sight of the amount of time you have left without becoming annoying. The game isn't holding your hand, but it is making sure that you don't become careless. You might be thinking that, you could just enter the metaverse and defeat the villain immediately day one, right? Well, I like your thinking, but it's not that simple. Each villain has a palace that you have to infiltrate, complete with shadows to beat and puzzles to solve. Also, every fight uses up stamina, meaning that you have to look for safe rooms to save your progress and return to that point on another day. Meaning that you'll have to choose which days you'll spend fighting in the metaverse and which days you'll stay in Tokyo, working on your bonds with confidants, stockpiling resources and training. I know this sounds like a lot of planning, but after the first palace you get a real handle on how to use your time well. Every victory feels earned, but most importantly, it feels like your victory, as the plan that led you to victory was entirely yours. Each win simulates that feeling of giddy excitement Batman gets when he plans ahead of a fight and wins. I'm kidding, of course, Batman is never giddy, but the satisfaction that you get out of pulling this off is incredible. The time system here creates a structure around your every action and gives you a sharp understanding of every choice's importance, making everything you do meaningful and satisfying. I've neglected one huge thing in this game, something that I'm sure you've all picked up on, the game's unique, one-of-a-kind style. Let's discuss that next. It's no secret that this game has some serious style. It has an aesthetic that's all its own that appears everywhere. The visual style accentuates the best things in this game and adds an element of real fun and character to parts that could have easily become quite boring. Take the user interface for example. For those of you that don't know, the user interface, or UI, is the means by which the player understands and interacts with the game. Every menu, health bar and minimap you've seen in games are part of a game's UI. Normally, these aren't ever particularly remarkable. The best ones are known for how easy to use and informative they are, rather than how fun they are to use or how much they contribute to your understanding of the game's theme. My point is that they're all pretty boring. When a game asks you to take care of something that isn't particularly exciting, you normally have to hit pause and take care of said boring thing in a menu. You can probably see it in your head now, can't you? The classic skill trees with the just about visible icons that you have to move close to the screen to see, or the pause menu with a 3D model of your character just standing there looking at you, making you feel awkward and weirdly self-conscious. Kratos, stop looking at me like that. Or, oh god, you get the pause menu where the game is in the background, but now it's just covered in darkness, and all you're looking at are these white option buttons. Ugh. You might not think about it all that much, but these menus of mundanity very gradually wear down your excitement to continue playing the game, as they almost always feel horribly disconnected from the rest of the adventure. The way a bare-bones UI gradually erodes your interest is very similar to how water gradually erodes a cliff. The cliff might not notice it. In fact, the cliff never notices it as it's a cliff, but it's happening. You might be thinking, yeah, you're making a good point, but what can you do? Menus are menus, you can't make them fun, just drop it. No, I won't. You know what? I'll tell you what. I have an example of user interface design that channels the game's character and themes and is fun to use. That game is... You already guessed it. Look at that! That animation of Joker flying in with that camera slap combined with that amazing sound. That was great! The menu also contributes a little to your understanding of the game's themes too. That fearlessly confident pose of defiance with "don't look at me like that" scrolled across the background, these are images of rebellion and change, which are huge themes of the game. Also, that deep red is synonymous with the Phantom Thieves, as so much of this game features that colour. So this all feels very nicely dressed in the theme of the game, making it feel connected to what you're experiencing outside of the menu. You also see more animations as you enter the different sub-menus too. Going through these menus doesn't feel like a chore, it actually feels more like you're interacting with the unique aesthetic of the game in a way that makes navigating them super fun. The other menus actually have animation sequences of their own too. Oh, did I mention that these other menus also have their own visual themes that give you a sense of the characters and locations that you're currently interacting with through them? Because they do. The game's signature style can be seen in everything you do. The game keeps you immersed by familiarising you with its unique visual language. Oh, I'd just like to add that Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of, Super Smash Bros., was such a big fan of the game's UI that he actually cited it as an influence on Smash Ultimate's presentation, which I think is awesome. But beyond that, it demonstrates the impact of the visual style of this game on the industry. Of course, the game's commitment to its unique aesthetic elevates plenty of other aspects of the game too, like its combat and world exploration, but I wanted to focus on its impact on the UI, as I think other games could really learn from this. Next, I'd like to move away from the visual presentation of the game to focus on the game's incredible music, and how it creates a soundscape that is just as unique as the game's visual style and, dare I say, even more effective at breathing life into Persona 5 Royal's world and characters, whilst giving the player a rich understanding of every location's atmosphere and identity. You're all going to have to forgive me for this generalisation, but I feel that in most cases, video game music is only ever supplementary. It adds something to a game, but never something truly noticeable. There are exceptions to this, like Koji Kondo's work on Mario, Zelda, and countless other games. However, again, I believe that Koji is an exception to the rule that most video game music doesn't contribute that much to a game, or rather, it isn't allowed to contribute that much to a game. I think you can see evidence of this in the option in most games to turn down the music, and just the music, if you want to. Isn't that weird? If music is truly treated as an important part of the experience in most games, then why do these games give players the option to remove it entirely? I mean, you don't go to see a movie and say to the person behind the counter, "Hi, I'll have one ticket for the normal screening of the film, and my friend here would like a ticket to a screening without the music, please." Right? In film, there's an appreciation for the power of music and what it can add to a story. Just think of the Superman theme, or Gonna Fly Now from Rocky, or any of the Star Wars themes. In video games, however, the power of music isn't always recognised. However, in the Persona series, music has always been an integral part of the experience. There is no option to reduce the music audio. It is as important as the game's visual presentation, and it's been treated that way. Whether you're doing battle with beasts buried in the collective subconscious of society, or walking through the bustling streets of Tokyo, your actions will be accompanied by a soundtrack that gives you a tangible sense of what these places are and the atmosphere of each and every location. The music, composed by the brilliant Shoji Meguro, breathes life into every part of this game and gives every part character. The battle theme, called Take Over, perfectly matches the frenetic energy of every fight. I adore this theme. It's aggressive and confident as it boldly explodes into existence, announcing the will of the Phantom Thieves to destroy society's hidden evils and bring about true justice. Then there's Tokyo Daylight, which imbues the streets of Tokyo with this electric energy. Every part of the city feels like it's in motion, full of things happening. You feel that it's impossible to stand still. Themes such as these contrast exquisitely with the soothingly slow tempo of Beneath the Mask, the theme of the cafe that Joker calls home.
Where have you been searching all along, confessing twilight on and on, without a clue, without a sign.
Everything about this theme is warm, soft enough to sink into. It's put so many listeners' minds at ease that there are actually 10-hour-long mixes of the song, made for studying and relaxing to. I sometimes use them myself. Lifeful Change perfectly encapsulates the finality and excitement of the moment in which justice forces evil into a corner and makes its final advance. Rivers in the Desert is an arrestingly powerful anthem of resistance that has the colossal force of a tidal wave. I could go on, really I could go on. There's loads of great music here. This music is phenomenal and plays an integral role in the game. It's utilised memorably and most importantly, meaningfully. Also, I'd like to mention that in Japan there's actually a really cool annual event called P-Fest, which is a series of concerts of Persona music from across the franchise, which is a great testament to not only the quality of the music, but the connections the players have to each piece of music. Okay, we've now reached the final section. I'm eternally grateful to you all for making it this far with me. To end the video, I'd like to discuss my thoughts on the game after I finish my first playthrough and just exactly what the royal part of this game is. So, to quote Sojiro, who you'll become familiar with as you play through the game, "Let me explain." That was pretty good, right? I thought so. Persona 5 Royal is both a remaster and extension of Persona 5, with plenty of improvements to the gameplay. The most important change here, however, is in the story. The game has over 30 hours of extra story that takes the narrative to new heights before it comes to a close. As I mentioned earlier, this game was my first Persona game, so I didn't know that the game's extra story content had to be unlocked by maxing out 2 specific confidants. So, when I finished the game without completing those social links, I only got the original ending to Persona 5 after 180 hours of gameplay. I realised that, in order to experience all of the story, I'd have to replay the game. What surprised me is the fact that I was happy to have made that mistake, as now I had an excuse to immediately jump back into the game. I want to leave you all with that reaction, as I think it speaks volumes about just how amazing an experience this game is. My hope in making this video is that some of you RPG skeptics out there, like I once was, decide to give this a go and see what happens. I did it, and I hope you do too.
Hello again, thank you so much for watching everything. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, please comment any feedback for the future, and hey, maybe subscribe. I'm really happy that I've now finally started my YouTube journey, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more stuff with you guys in the future. So yeah, I'll see you then. Bye.